Let me say pleasant good evening and a happy new year to a man who is no stranger to this program. Good evening to you, Mr. Brian Baig, and all the best for 2025.
Good evening, Mikey, and good evening to your listeners and viewers, and a happy new year to you as well.
Thank you.
And I have to say that you had a dynamic and excellent person speaking by the name of Mr. Devish Maraj, a man who is exceptionally excellent legal-minded gentleman, excellent attorney at law, and I know he will become the next member of Parliament for St. Joseph.
Oh, there you go, boy. The campaign is on. Eh? We are in the heat of things. Something tells me you reside in the constituency of Arangua, St. Joseph.
Yes, I live in St. Joseph, actually.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I want to take you back here to December 30th of last year, a media release by the opposition leader, political leader of United National Congress. She stated, I called for a state of emergency in January of 2024, as I correctly predicted that failure to do so would result in a most murderous year. I was roundly condemned by the Prime Minister and his political and business community supporters. Many lives could have been saved had they heeded my advice at the beginning of this year. This SoE was not called because of any genuine concern for the safety of citizens, but rather as a shameless act of political gimmickry to be used as propaganda for the upcoming general election. Quite interesting. I mean, from your legal perspective, of course, looking at it, and I just had Dr. Munilal on who said that he doesn't believe or he doesn't have much confidence in it achieving anything. What say you?
Well, let me first say, I'm totally in agreement with the leader of the opposition and that of Dr. Rudan Munilal. This SoE, it is a very much so political gimmickry. I don't see any good outcome out of it because we are in a current state of emergency, but yet there's still murders. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we are at 13 or 14 murders for the year, and we are into the 15th day of the year, or 16th day of the year, I should say rather, and we are still having violent crimes happening. So what is this state of emergency doing? Who's really, is it really affecting? Who is it meant for? And I mean, when you look at the legality of this state of emergency, I have to say that it begs to wonder, but who really advised the government in putting together this state of emergency? Because we have some regulations there that it makes me wonder, well, a first-year law student can watch that and laugh at it. Because if I may comment on the regulations,
go right ahead.
One good example is that the government put a gun amnesty. Really? A gun amnesty cannot be done in the way that regulation was drafted. There is a certain gentleman who operates in a certain independent office, which is called the Director of Public Prosecutions. That person must be consulted. That person has to be involved, and then that by itself must come to the Parliament, which the leader of the opposition made it very clear as well in the debate in Parliament, which was on Monday. So we had a gentleman who was the acting Attorney General, who, for my part, who carries the title Senior Counsel, but from seeing that clearly, that man did not advise properly. And then you do have an Attorney General who is also Senior Counsel. No one cannot tell me that Attorney General was in no way consulted. He had to be, and he himself had to see that regulation was there and ought to have said this cannot be there. When in fact he even came and said the gun amnesty is not even in place. As far as I'm concerned, that sitting Attorney General needs to go. He needs to resign. Because clearly he's not fit to do the job. And then I go further, you have Regulation 6, which the government went and say, now I put in this regulation, where you are now telling the nation you cannot take legal action for anything done to you during the state of emergency. Well, that, my friend, is by far undemocratic. Because a person must be allowed the redress of the court. Where that you're telling me a police officer comes into my home breaks down my door under the state of emergency rules and regulations, finds nothing, I am bounded and arrested, finds nothing, there's nothing to hold me with, and then release me, when in fact, there is laws in the Constitution for that. Because you must remember, a state of emergency takes away your rights. And that's what the court is there to ensure that what was done was unlawful. And also the rule of habeas corpus cannot be taken away. I actually had a client where they went and they held and they kept him, and I had to make it clear to the police officers that there is a notice you must give if the person is being kept for more than 48 hours. There is a ruling of the High Court by oh my God, I'm forgetting the Justice Frank C. Prasad that indicate you cannot keep a man more than 48 hours without just cause, where a person higher than the rank of sergeant is supposed to give that approval to keep them for longer than 48 hours. And if not, you must release them. So what is that?
Yeah, but I mean, the government has, well, one would think some of the best legal minds that they can rely on to give them legal advice. I mean, this thing, we heard from all quarters that basically this was not planned out properly. I mean, from the prison service, the police service, from the legal service, all of this is being said. Why? Why would someone just get up and have a VAPS and say, listen, this is what I believe is the only thing at this time that can rescue us from the criminal elements?
Because, my friend, you have a government that has failed in fighting crime. You have a government that is operating by VAPs. But you have a government that is operating by, well, let's wake up in the morning and see what next to think. Because when this decision was made, this decision, I understand, was made at midnight and then dropped onto the country like a thief in early in the morning. This is why, because our government doesn't know what they're doing. And the People's National Movement has continued to show that they are failing. This Rowley-led government is failing. And they can put who they want. This government is failing. And the fact that this government did that, what should have happened is the Prime Minister should have offered his resignation in the morning, dissolve Parliament, and call an election. That's what should have been done.
And I want to agree with you, and I'm sure that many people who are locked on and viewing this, they agree with you as well. What stands out as well is that the opposition leader said she was wrongly condemned by the Prime Minister and his political and business community supporters. Now, we're seeing headlines here where some of these chambers are saying that, yes, there are still concerns over the SoE, but many of them welcome it. Many of them are saying, yes, this is a great call. This is something that we can work with. And I have to ask you this, and this is going to be the question moving forward here. Do you believe, based on everything that we're seeing playing out here now, politically, on our local political landscape, that business, or should I say the government, has been hijacked along with our democracy?
Well, I would say that the government, I wouldn't say hijacked. What I would say is that the government has abdicated their duty, right? What I would say further is that our democracy is clearly under some form of threat because of the fact that you have, by just those regulations, I must stress on the regulations that they have placed upon us. Regulation 6 alone shows where, if this was a truly democratic government, that you would not have taken away a person's right to seek redress.
And so let me ask you. I mean, we have seen this government, of course, just flout the laws. I mean, when it comes to legislation, we've seen basically so many independent offices that have been politically compromised. They've been contaminated by the whole political influence. Taking all of that in consideration, and not using the word hijack, but you believe that this government has been infiltrated by big business, which has compromised our democracy along with it?
Well, I don't have the evidence to show that, but there's evidence to show that there's an abdication of duty. There's evidence to show that our democracy is being eroded by this SO.
And let me ask you, legally, how serious and how dangerous is that?
Well, it is very concerning, right? Because at the end of the day, under a state of emergency, our rights are suspended. So the police can come in that station and no one question you, sir. You understand? And the problem, what I would tell persons, however, it is to comply. Yeah?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry about that, Mikey.
No, go ahead.
Right. So again, what we have also is that there. Sorry, I got thrown off.
You said that if this happens, that you advise us to comply.
Comply, because you don't want that they would say that you are not in compliance with them, that you are not operating with them, because then they could say that they could then arrest you. And if you are not a person of the criminal element, that you should have no problems at all.
Yeah.
You understand?
Understand.
I have told many persons that. Many persons have come to me with it, and I have made it clear to them that they need to just comply. Do not get yourself in any problems. If you know you are a person who is not of the criminal element, comply. You don't want that you're treated in a way, because by the regulation 6 you can't come and take them to court.
You're
You
right.
understand what I'm saying?
Loud and clear.
Yes.
So comply with that. Closing comments, go right ahead.
My closing comments is that, like I said, this government has failed. This government has not able to assess and arrest the crime situation. The Honorable Kamala Prasad was totally correct in when she did it in January of 2024. Dr. Rowley ought to resign ought to offer his resignation very much earlier than what he said he wanted to do. Dissolve the parliament, call a general election.
Thank you so much, Mr. Baig. Keep up the good work. And of course, we'll have you on periodically as things heat up. Thank you so much again, and for the advice. Have a good one.